It's Friday somewhere. Let's drink.
Must be a lot of oats in here because this body is perfect. So,
basic Mexican lager. It's good. It's light. It's crisp.
Pretty much all base malt, London yeast.
Barley wine, which is adding a really intense sweetness to this.
I can give you a rundown of the beer if you want. But
we'll get to you. Calm down there. Calm down
very
there.
I'm very excited.
He's very excited.
I mean, break up the word independent into more syllables. Why don't you?
It's great to have you back, Joel Cotner from West Palm Brewing and Wine Vault. We do have a live audience here, and it's really great to do this. I personally can't believe you guys paid money to come out and listen to us talk. And with that, I'm going to hit stop. We're going to start the show for real now. Here we go. Love that sound. It's Friday somewhere. Let's drink. And after that train wreck, I'm Bearcat. Welcome back, friends. Joined by my good friend, Mr. Ed Grohl. Edwin, say hello to the folks at home.
Hello to the folks at home. Good to be here. Good to be back. I feel like we're getting back into the swing of things. Maybe your kids are old enough to put themselves to bed at this point where we can convene on this.
Shoo.
Yeah, it's only been a couple weeks, so I feel like we're getting into a groove here. It's pretty cool. I have one too here. Let's hope it doesn't explode.
That's the thing these days.
Yeah. So let's pour one out here. Oh boy.
Yeah. And we're joined by friend of the show, back once again. Is this appearance number 4 or 5?
I think 4 sounds right.
4 sounds right. Mr. Jeffrey Kupko, say hello, Jeffrey.
Hey, everybody. Great to be back. Hopefully you're listening to this on your morning commute, from the bed to the basement or something like that. It's good to be back. It's not a year-end show that I'm on this time.
No, that's right.
But,
you usually do a year-end show.
So it's a new year beginning because forget 2020. What would we review?
Yeah, we didn't do a year-end show for 2020, so...
Yeah, why would you? We don't need to memorialize that.
That year ended itself. It was like, all right.
Yeah.
Happy New Year?
We're done here. And then we went right into 2021, and it sucks, too. So, yeah.
It is only February.
Yeah. So, guest first, Jeffrey. What do you bring? What are you drinking, Jeff?
Well, it's a fantastic day in Columbus, Ohio, as Ohio becomes a distribution point for Dancing Gnome. So I have Dancing Gnome Pounce, freshly unloaded from the truck. Literally, they opened the store at 2:00, and I was there at like 2:15 to make my purchase. No lines or anything, just went there. And it's fantastic. I'm a big fan of Dancing Gnome. Big fan of Pittsburgh. Very happy to be drinking it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That seems so. That you sent me notice about that, and that started like a lot of wheels turning. And then immediately I was like, you know what? We're doing a show, Jeff. Come on, we're going to talk about that. But we'll get to that in a minute. Edwin, what are you drinking?
I have the Four Score Brewing from, if you can guess it, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It is part of their Jamba series, which they release, it seems like hourly, because I get updates from them all the time. This one is called Mega Berry. It's a strawberry, raspberry, and blackberry fruit beer. I know this is not going to go visual, but as you can see, very dark fruit beer. Yeah, these have been great. We've been loving them. I have a couple others here, too. I got 3 of them last week. So
I feel like you could easily have Elf coming in and saying your drink's looking very purpley today.
Yeah. And this one is, it looks like I just blended it like in a Ninja blender or something beforehand. It is fantastic. I'm not going to lie. Coming in 6% alcohol. and they don't really give you a whole lot of story on here, but it does have the lovely Super Mario Brothers Bob-omb on there. I don't know how they get away with that, but they do. So yeah, that was a release last weekend, and we went down and got a couple 4-packs of it, and it's really good. I'm really impressed by everything that they do down there.
With so much fruit in that beer, is putting the bomb on the label like? Is that like a warning, or is it just
luckily it wasn't
ironic?
Luckily it wasn't a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
where I did open it away from the computer, like if it's gonna shoot it, it's gonna hit me, and it's gonna look like Fruit of the Loom porn film or something. But no, it's really good.
Got bukkakied by your beer.
And by the way, I did not think that up a week ago. I just came up with that on the spot.
Nice.
What do you got?
I went with Joyous IPA. This is one of the 2 cans that Tröegs was nice enough to put in the mail to me. I also bought a case of it. This is the new hop cycle for spring. I'm not going to belabor the point about this, but I drank in this one first so I can talk about it and get it out of the way. If you want to talk about it some more, we can. A couple things. I'm drinking it in my golden 717 glass because this, I think, links pretty closely to what they were talking about doing for the Harrisburg Beer Week this year. It does use that hothead. I can't say this word. Kvik.
I think it's
that yeast.
I think it's Kvik
yeast.
Kvik.
Hothead Kvik.
I mean, let's ask.
Whatever.
Let's act like professionals. It's Kvik, motherfucker. Yeah.
Yeah. That yeast was being trialed, I think, for the 717 this year. Other than that, I'm not sure there's any other link. The color on it is a little bit weird and bizarre. It's looks like kind of like a dirty orange sort of color. This beer is fine. I don't think it's like exceptional. I also think that it's kind of hard to be drinking what's intended to be a spring IPA here in the doldrums of winter. And I think beer and a place kind of sync up a lot of times. So they're releasing a spring IPA in just the worst, time of seasonal depression and dogpiling on from, pandemic depression. And so it seems like it's aspirational, but it's also, I think that this spot in the brewing cycle and brewing calendar for Tröegs has been kind of tough. This spring release has been just never seemed to get proper footing. The Crimson Pistol, the first cut that this now replaces. I'm probably forgetting one. I just feel like this spot is tough, and it might be just because of, like, if you think of it as a baseball lineup, you're coming off through all these heavy hitters from Tröegs. You're coming from, well, now it's going to be that the fall, the summer is that hop cyclone, and then you move right into Mad Elf, and then Nugget Nectar, and then kind of this, and then there's Blizzard or hops in there, and Double Blizzard, and then this, and it's like you got all these heavy hitters, and then you get through the lineup, and it's like, oh, okay, now I got the spring. It might be tough for them to just kind of roll through from those into this one. I don't know what it is, but it feels like this slot in their release calendar moves around a lot, and it's maybe it's not caught the footing as some other spots. I don't know. Have you guys had this yet? Either of you?
I have not. I
saw it. I haven't seen it yet. It might have hit here. I haven't gone to. Usually, Giant Eagle is the one that has the best Tröegs selection for me, and I just haven't hit that yet. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right because, like, I mean, brewing, they always got to push it out a little early so it hits the season where it really needs to. But you're drinking it at the beginning of February, and I mean, if it was like 60 and the snow had melted away, you might be appreciating that a little bit differently. So you might be right that it's just hitting at the wrong time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think of, beyond just loving Nugget Nectar, like, that's the beer I drink like when I'm shoveling snow, right? Like it hits perfect in that mood. And you know, if you were to take that beer outside right now and shovel some snow, it wouldn't work for you.
Yeah. Yep.
I agree with you on the Crimson Pistol, though. I thought that completely missed the mark. I tried it several times when I was living across from the Midtown, and they had it on tap. It just never struck a chord with me. So yeah, I think you're onto something here with the you know, mid season release here. I think they're kind of not figuring out their foothold there with some of the beers, but
Yeah. The initial response from some folks I talked to is tepid on this beer. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. Just kind of tough spot to be in. 6.5%, bunch of different hops. Citra.
I mean, let me
Sabro.
ask you this: is this too perpetual adjacent? Like, I mean, is this just like
No, it's just fruity.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like something that, like, they're not cannibalizing their own.
No, it's a lot of Tangelo, juicy papaya, subtle coconut. I don't pick up the coconut. It's like really tropical, but like in this tropical, but like I don't know. It's a lot of papaya. It really is. It's not bad. It's just
What about the papayas? Seinfeld reference. Are we gonna get that?
yeah, we're gonna get that.
I don't even know what's going on with the papayas.
Jeff, thoughts on your beer?
Man, it's drinking nice. It has that nice fresh bite to it. You know, not too green. So it wasn't canned yesterday, but you know, maybe a week or so ago, if you will. Fairly easy drinking. You know, what's it come in? 6%. So it goes down really easy and just packing a punch. Real nice flavors in there. Some real good melon that I'm really enjoying.
If you don't mind me asking, what was the 4-pack of that? What did it cost you? Did you even?
I want to say it. No. Okay, I'll tell you what I think. It was either $13.99 or $15.99 is what I wanted. It was one of those two. I don't, because the sticker was on the top. But the reason I say that is because, like, so I bought the 4-pack of that, and then I did a 4 mix of 12s and a 4 mix of 16s. And I was looking at the draft list for a crowler, but I was like, I got enough beer. And she rang it up, and it came up as like $45. And I was like, okay, crowler time. It was a lot less than I expected. So that's kind of why I guess I didn't fully notice the price, because it was less than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Edwin's thought on your fruit bomb.
Oh, it's awesome. I love this. I paid a little more than Jeff for a 4-pack. These were 22 of 4. Yeah, and it's like the entire Dewey Brewing Company crew was there, like, and they have like limited, you know, seating and everything. So people were coming in and getting it. Yeah, these are not for the faint of heart or wallet. Not that I am not, but you know, it's one of those things where you get there and it's like, oh shit, well, I drove an hour here, I may as well just buy it. So, but it's worth it. I think it's really, really good. And these aren't typically in my wheelhouse. I have to say wheelhouse at least once per podcast. So, but these are really good. That 4-score, I forget who's brewing down there, but man, are they doing some good stuff. Even I had their one, it was called Milk Dramada, and it was like a lactose hazy IPA, New England style, and it was fantastic. I loved it. I had 2 of them, and then I got one to go. It was really good. They just do really good stuff down there, and their releases aren't like a zoo. Like, there's not a line outside. It's just a steady stream of people coming in and buying. We hung out there for a little bit. The food's fantastic. It's a really good job, and it's just something that popped up in our Facebook feeds, and we're like, hey, we should go check this out, and then we did, and it's really good. We might have to go down there this week for their ice cream series. They're brewing beer with ice cream, and then they're giving away ice cream samples with it. I don't know. It's a whole mess. It's not just pilsners and brown ales. Like it's all this stuff that like some of these old brewers are like, fuck this shit, you know.
Those old brewers have all come around now.
Or if you go to the South, they're like, "Ooh, you carpetbaggers with your New England IPAs and all that stuff." Like, just so weird. You hate them.
You mean that the Northern Aggression IPA that came out? I saw on Worst Beer blog.
I did not see that one. Did someone do that?
That was the name of it. Northern Aggression, and it's a New England IPA. Come on, guys.
I mean, I don't. Oh God.
I'll be honest. It wasn't the worst. Like I like. It wasn't the worst of bad beer names that I've like hated.
Yeah,
it's obviously bad, but like it didn't fit that like seriously. It was bad, but not in the far realm of hate for me.
Here's how that one would go for me. If we were in a round table and we're trying to name a beer, and someone's like, "Hey, how about Northern Aggression?" Be like, "Oh, okay, we're not doing that." But point.
Right. Yeah.
Points
where like you have a PR barrier.
Yeah.
Right?
Points for coming up with something interesting that we're not going to do. So that's on the no list.
What was the one that I sent to you and Dave a couple days ago where it was like the Boogaloo or something like that? Like, why would you think that was a good idea?
Ooh.
Like, did you really think that was a thing that you should put
Bad.
on beer? And they made a label
Bad.
and it got canned. Yeah.
So like they got rid of it or it got put in a can? Because can could be either.
No. Like, it literally, there was a picture of the label. Like, it was produced, made.
Okay.
No, I mean, and then they were like, oh, we didn't mean for that, and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, didn't you? Like, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, but even so, fucking take the temperature of the room, dude. Like, what are you doing?
I do think it's getting better, but maybe only because the volume's up everywhere.
I think the
else.
problem is too many people want to be clever and put their finger on the pulse of current events and get something out there that they think is funny without really thinking about what they're doing. Like, it just, you might have I wouldn't say best intentions, but you just want something to catch on, and I think that they just shoot first, ask questions later, that kind of thing. And it just kind of goes. And I just, I'm all for a clever beer name, but not when it's just so shitty. Like, we used to do that bit back in the day where it was like, hey, let's talk about these shitty beer names, like Big Beaver IPA. And like, come on, like, what are you doing?
Well, I think to your point, Bearcat, there isn't a room creating this. And there's probably no diversity in a room. It's the brewer or one person going, you know what? I'm going to put this on a can because I just chuckled at it without, gauging it against somebody else. Even if it was like a, infantile joke between two people, like it shouldn't then make it to a can, right?
Yeah, yeah. And in defense of when we would talk about the bad beer names that we were finding, what we were looking at were ones that were tasteless. That was pretty much the way they were. I considered them tasteless. They to me, they're tasteless. To other people, they could be legitimately offensive. And if you were offended by it, I'm not going to stand here and defend it. I'm going to say, I think it's tasteless. If you're offended, you should be offended by that. It is offensive.
Right.
It's hard for me to offend me, but now it's like we're like when we find a lot of these, like with the Northern Aggression one, what you're finding is stuff that's like outside the boundary of just being tasteless or poor taste.
Yeah.
It's like legitimately. Like it can really hurt someone the way and make them feel ways that are just beyond just like I'm a little bit offended, right? I mean that's the problem there.
Yep.
Just because your buddies find it clever doesn't mean that everybody's going to, especially when it hits like Instagram or Untapped and it starts to get a little traction and people are like, what the fuck is this? Just because you're in Podunk, West Virginia or, wherever, it doesn't mean it's not going to get out there and people aren't going to call you to the carpet for it. Like, just because your small town thinks it's a fun joke doesn't mean that everyone's going to think the same way, or people might see it from a different perspective. You really got to read the room, man. It's so stupid.
Read the room. People don't do that anymore.
No.
Speaking of bad decisions in brewing,
is that my cue?
No. No. I reached out to Jeff. I'm like, what do we get to talk about? Like, an hour ago, right? What are we gonna talk about? You brought up.
Yeah.
That's how we do show prep. Text somebody an hour before we go on. What do you want to talk about?
Remember, we used to have a running agenda. I used to like kill myself.
You had a Word document
it would
or a
live
Google document,
and it would live update during the show, and then I wouldn't look at my phone, and I'd have 18 texts like, "Ed, ask this," and I'm like, "Oh shit, I have no idea."
That's when we were professionsionals.
Yeah, I don't work
We don't
like
do
that
that anymore.
I'm off the hip, baby, without a net. Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore. But what Boulevard is going through, although it feels like it kind of slowed down about 2 weeks ago. Really shows like I think a large portion of like how craft beer just refuses to. Some craft beer breweries just refuse to grow up.
Well, our buddy got canned from there, right?
Danner.
Yeah.
Mutually agreed separation, I think, is the term.
But it wasn't because of his. We assume we don't know.
I do not.
We
know
assume it was because of his Twitter presence, his online presence.
I don't know that.
It would if you connect the dots with the two things going on, it would kind of maybe seem, but maybe he would like to talk about that. I don't know, but it just seems so weird.
He
has
plenty
Anna
of forums
jump to conclusions, Matt.
Yeah. He's got plenty of forums where he could have discussed that. He's not going to do it on this show. People leave jobs for lots of different reasons. I mean, did he leave because they got tired of his sometimes very political Twitter feed? Maybe. I don't think that's the story though.
And it could be a factor, but yeah, who knows? Like we're not HR in the room having that discussion.
And apparently Boulevard doesn't have HR in the room, or the HR they have doesn't work. So, do you want to summarize, or should I?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start, and you pile on, right?
Yeah. Good.
So essentially, Boulevard had it was a former brewer, I think, correct? Not a current brewer,
correct?
But a female brewer that basically came out and posted about transgressions that she had dealt with there, and that were not taken seriously, and so I think as a lot of people who don't feel heard in the workplace have now taken it, which is good to have social media to be an outlet, to be able to express those transgressions, and really where Boulevard came out, they basically, I want to say they like tried to cut her off at the knees with their first response, and saying like it really wasn't much. We did some investigation, nothing happened. In no short way of calling her a liar, which is a bold statement. You should be able to back that up if that's true. And the way they said it, though, complete swing and a miss. You could tell it didn't go through real good HR vetting. It didn't go through PR vetting. They didn't say the right things at all. They should fix the problem first and foremost, but they didn't say the right things. And then like 2 days later, they come back and they said the right things, and the things that they were going to start implementing and that they were going to truly investigate. And they ended up dismissing an employee over it. That was the thing you should have said 2 days ago, not this day after you've already flubbed it. So even if your actions would have been good, they're not great because of how you started 2 days ago. And I see it as very problematic. I mean, it's in the same ballpark as what Founders did and how Founders flubbed it. So, and I really feel like they
the same. I mean, okay, if you think it's in the same ballpark, it's not. It's in the same ballpark. Okay.
I mean, race or sex. I mean, we're really. Do we know if she was passed over for promotions or things like that? I can't say that for sure. So maybe all of the facts aren't the exact same as Founders, but really you're looking at this as a, likely a minority employee. I'm assuming Boulevard doesn't have majority women employees. So you're looking at a minority employee who was not welcome, did not feel welcomed, was oppressed in the workplace, wasn't dealt with right. And then when it came out publicly, the brewery flubbed it completely, didn't take the right actions to correct.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. Just maybe a couple points that I think are relevant. The reason I first kind of recoiled when you put it in the same ballpark is Founders is I think Founders had like a real, what was clear to me in Founders is that there was a real cultural problem that was more systemic. Whereas in this
they were
case,
putting shit in writing on the copiers
on the copier,
office.
yeah,
like
and
that,
everyone knew about it and saw it. And it was
fucking
out
dispute. Yeah.
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 I mean, that was happening openly, and we know that. We know that. This happened to we believe one woman that this occurred to. She says there are others. I've not heard others coming forward. I trust her when she speaks for herself. I'm not willing to accept the hearsay that's happened to others. That's not to be dismissive of her claim, because I think her claim is clearly founded. And the fact that she says it's happening to others is not relevant to me believing her claim. I trust her claim. I'm neither dismissive nor accepting of her claims about others. I'm indifferent about it because I don't think it's relevant, because we don't have the others before us. For this individual, she was harassed. They apparently allowed the individual at some point to have a graceful exit, which is not how it's handled. HR was dismissive of the claims. It makes me really question. So this is really what I'm getting to on this base thing. Does Boulevard actually have an HR office? Because if this is how your HR office handle it, you don't have one.
Well, that was my initial thought was when you're talking about these breweries, it started from basically, bootstraps, ground up, whatever the hell you want to do. Boulevard wasn't Boulevard forever. And I think a lot of times these places just hire from within. So that culture just bubbles up. If you have an HR department, it might be somebody, and I don't know for sure, but this is my, hypothesis. Possibly these are people who just got hired up from, their initial, we're a tiny brewery on the corner of South and Second or whatever. And then that culture just kind of stays there. And they're like, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about. That's just brewery. That's boys being boys. Maybe that's the type of thing. I don't know. I don't know what their situation is. When they, obviously became huge, maybe they hired an HR thing, but maybe it's somebody who they deemed somebody who was one of their people or something like that. I just don't know. It's not like they're reaching out and getting somebody with a master's in HR and bringing them in and being like, well, you got to, make sure everything's by the level. Maybe that's an issue, because it seems like these breweries all have a very similar issue when they pop up.
Yeah.
I think, even like base HR really, you could hire somebody to do what we'll say is base HR, which is, equal opportunity hiring. You have that as your claim. You set in just some standard policies and workplace procedures, but are you really monitoring that those policies and procedures are being followed, or are you adopting them to check the box from a liability perspective, right? Like, oh, we did it.
And are there checks and balances in place where somebody's overlooking this, or is it just, hey, do the benefits and payroll, assuming you have benefits, and hopefully you have payroll, but, are you just there to do that? And if something comes to the carpet, well, now the ball's in your court. You have to deal with it because you're HR, quote unquote, whereas there might not even be a policy in place.
And to be clear, payroll and benefits can be done by the finance wing or the budgeting side of these businesses. You don't need an HR professional to run your payroll. There's plenty of support out there.
But if you're
contractors and contracting,
but if you're a small-ish middling brewery, are you hiring one person to kind of wear all the hats?
And they are. And if you have 10 employees, like, it is a box you check. Because you don't have the scale to hire in a real HR professional. You can go and you can get a consultant to come in and work with you. You can have a consultant on retainer. There are things you can do, but at that size and that scale, like it's hard to have a dedicated human resources office as it's fully encompassing, especially one that would have to have a seat at the table, at the company's highest levels, which is really where you have to have it in order to institute the full broad expectations of what is a modern HR office. Here's the thing, and I think that I'm pretty sure we talked about this before, but it really bears repeating. If there are any brewers that are listening to us, there's a certain size you reach where, so many brewers have come to this industry looking to release themselves of the shackles of working in a corporate environment. Okay? They're out of corporate life. I don't want to do that. I want to grow my hair long. Like Jeff, I want to grow a beard.
Hey.
I don't want to work in an office. And I
You'll refer to him as Prince Adam, Hank.
sorry. And I'm not going to I don't want to be corporate man. Well, the corporate structure works for a reason. It exists for a reason. This is not something that they do in order to just grind people down. It happens to do that, but it exists because it works, and it's about accountability. The structure is there to hold itself together, and it's a structure and concept that has been proven. You want to go and make some other structure or some other environment, be my guest. But this proven structure is probably your best bet against these kinds of problems. So when you reach a certain size, like Boulevard clearly has, you start to really need to invest in this kind of stuff. And I don't think they do. And if you're telling me Boulevard had an HR department, yes, I read it in the news. They had someone who worked in HR. They did not have a culture where HR had either been empowered in order to address issues in the workplace or had the skills in order to do so, because they clearly didn't. And what's really lost on this is that HR is not there just to protect the business. It does do that. There is an obligation to limit liability, but it's there to help the people that are working there. This employee left with a bad taste in their mouth and walked away because of the way she was treated. The HR office may not have been able to stop what happened to her from happening. May have happened anyway. But when it happened, someone would have been there to deal with it properly, and they could have maybe limited the impact and harm to that woman. May have been able to retain her as an employee. May have been able to find ways in order to now address it to ensure it doesn't happen to others.
And also made it a matter of record. Like, okay, this is on record.
Or hold the person who did it accountable and reprimand.
Well, that's all part of that.
As appropriate. Yeah, just building on that, right? Like all of these things should have been that ingrained culture, and there could have been very small things at the beginning that could have been those. You can't do this anymore. We're not the group of 10 we used to be. Change it, right? You get those warnings. To Ed's point, let's start making a record of this, and if the person's a problem, the person needs to go. If the person changes, HR did its job. Well, in both cases.
The big difference is like when I've worked in corporate structure basically since I got out of college, so 25 years or whatever, 20 years. And so like when you say, I'm aging myself here.
Close.
Yeah. Someone,
it's getting higher by the minute.
This was actually 45 years ago. But when I got out of NAM, no, but when we would see HR people come into the office, like our building,
there are rules. Don't harass anyone.
But you're like, oh shit, HR's here, and you were like terrified that they would be like, hey, we need to talk to you. But in these structures, I feel like they're just like, oh, that's just Chad. Like, oh, that's just a guy who handles the HR stuff. Like, we lived in fear of HR, and I think that some of these cultures don't have that. And not that I'm saying that you should fear human resources people, but there was always this thing like, am I getting in trouble, blah, blah, blah. But I think that stigma is not there in some of these places where it's like, oh, this is my buddy, and we watch, frickin' BoJack Horseman together or whatever.
Because at some point you reach a certain size, it's not just your friends working there anymore. You have employees.
Right, which is, and you can't just have the good old boys that have been there the whole
Yeah.
time in charge of everything because it's just going to be toxic.
We're a real business now. So, and by the way, the one of the top executives at Boulevard stepped down about a week ago, Jeff Crum. So, there was he was president. It does something like this does fall at his feet, and you know what? If he had a better culture, if he had cultivated a better culture, and if he had a commitment to HR, he probably would still have a job now, but he doesn't.
And the question I kind of have in this too is, and I feel like his stepping down was a result of this, but where was Duvel in all of this, right? I mean, they are the owner at this point. And I think his departure is because it became public and they got pressure from their corporate overlords. But you would think with the resources that came to the table, things should have changed then.
Which is funny because when I was telling you guys about the Boogaloo beer or whatever, AB InBev dropped that brewery from their portfolio. They were like,
"Oh, that was an AB."
Yep.
They distributed them, or was it one of their breweries?
It was one of the I think it was an acquisition, or
at
least distributed their stuff. They lost a humongous amount of money for that. AB InBev was like, "Nope, you're out." And you brought up Duvel, I don't know how you want to pronounce it, but I'm so uncultured. But it's just one of those things like, well, maybe they were just kind of like, hey, you guys handle this. We're going to keep our name out of it. That's an odd dichotomy of situations there. Really strange.
That is. All right. Beer number 2. Jeff, I saw you crack it. What'd you get?
Oh, man, that's good. Okay. So I picked up Nowhere in Particular. I want to chew on it. So it's a triple IPA.
Wow.
Let's see. Churro malt, honey, flaked oats, flaked wheat, Citra, Waimea, and Sultana. So the cool thing about Nowhere in Particular, so Nowhere is essentially a gypsy brewer, just pops around. But the guy opened a place in Columbus and calls it Somewhere in Particular. And so when he contracts, it's Nowhere in Particular. When it's at his place, it's Somewhere in Particular.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. I went with number 2 is New Trails Snow Angel.
Ooh, how's that?
Very, very good.
New Trail can basically do no wrong. I have no idea what wizardry they have going on there, but
they cracked the code of the endless stream of hazy IPAs
that are just amazing.
That are just really good. You can you crack them and they're all good. I do have one big problem with their labels. They provide you no information. They tell you this. They tell you the name, the style. Their labels are beautiful. They're all beautiful, very nicely done. Whoever's doing their label design is quite good. They provide you no information. I don't know what the ABV is of this. I do not know what hops they've used, what malts, and they also do not put a canned on date, and that bothers me.
Oof. That bothers me, yeah.
So they're great beer, but I know nothing about it, and I used to use Untapped a lot, and I got a lot of information. I'm not checking all my beers anymore. I just moved on. I still do use it a lot.
If you want to go minimalist on a can, I mean, talk Dancing Gnome, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's got a name. It says it's an American ale, a pint, and the ABV. Yeah. I mean, okay.
Well, you at least got the ABV. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
But
so.
I will second that brewery. I appreciate the beer mail with several to try, because I've seen a lot of 717ers, popping those, and I was like, new. Everybody seems to be liking it, so I really do appreciate the opportunity to try.
Brewers from Tired Hands.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there's a thread there.
Like a head, or like
I don't know.
like just a lower brewer that started his own.
And what people don't want you to know is that they're actually like rich guys, like that opened that place.
Yeah,
But that's
a
like
lot of money.
That's like the low key secret. Unlike Rusty Rail is like, hey, we're rich guys that opened this place, and I don't really like their beers, but everyone loves going there. But these guys are low key, just making good beers that are out there. But they're not like bragging about it online or anything. They're just like, hey, we just opened this place, and their beer is really goddamn good.
They are.
I hate it.
They are rolling it. Their beers come
Guaranteed.
out fast.
Yeah,
They come out fast, and they come out regularly, and they're always gone.
That variety pack they did with the collabs, you couldn't find it anywhere. My buddy Jay got one, but people were looking for it on Facebook. Like, where do I get this? You know,
it's coming. That's
Oh no,
that's next up. That's next up.
Oh shit! Spoilers.
I've got thoughts on that. I got thoughts on that. That's
I got thoughts.
Got thoughts.
Imagine that. You got thoughts on that.
It's about time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you created a podcast or anything.
Right. Just because
or a website or a blog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like people need more of my opinion on shit.
Literally, I think I read one of your opinions on the back of my toothpaste tube this morning. I was like, this fucking.
What does that one dentist know that we don't?
I was like, they signed. I was like, the Pirates signed who? Like, what the fuck? Obviously,
Nobody.
I'm kidding.
They
the
didn't
Pirates
sign
didn't
anybody.
sign anybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think they're commit. I think this is a real number. I read this somewhere. Pirates payroll, the committed payroll for 2022 is only $2 million.
Oh, what did they open a Kickstarter?
I don't know. So like,
We're looking for volunteers.
So once we get past the season,
Can you bunt? If
like,
so, we have a position for you.
they're gonna hand out 20s to come play for them.
I forgot the tweet that I saw, and it was like it listed like individual players, and there was like 12 individual players who made more money than the entire payroll of the Pirates.
Yeah, yeah, and that's only because they ran out of characters on their tweet.
yeah.
God, what a disaster that franchise is.
Beautiful stadium too.
Beautiful stadium.
PNC Park.
We should just get this out of the way. Jeff, congratulations on your Columbus Crew.
Awesome. Hey, thanks. So I got wearing a sweatshirt.
For those of you that don't know, I'm a soccer fan. Jeff is a rabid soccer fan. He's like the fans that like get in fights and throw things at each other.
Like one step shy of that. Not quite hooligan, close. Wannabe hooligan, maybe.
He's hooligan adjacent.
Yeah, hooligans to the point I don't want to get fired.
Yeah, and he's a gooner, so that's good. But your team won the MLS, which I love soccer. Like I'll watch a kids game. Like if I'm at the park and like there's an adult league game going on, I'll walk over and just watch it. And my wife will be like, "Why are you watching this?" I'm like, "I don't know, see what happens." I'm critiquing. I'm critiquing the referee. I'm thinking about the game. I'll watch anything. I find watching MLS to be difficult. I'm not all in on it. I never have been. I don't know what it is.
It's an athletic league. So like English league is a bit physical.
Yeah.
Like your Spanish, your Italian are a bit more finesse.
Yep.
But the American League is just athletic. Speed. It's a lot of it's speed, quickness of passing. It's
a lot of
exactly
chase.
what it is.
It's a lot of chase, and I don't like chase.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like trying to dump it behind the line and just trying to outsprint the defender, not exactly like good football.
I would say the Crew does a lot of good ball movement, but they do have some fast wingers that they were able to take advantage of dump and chase. But I mean, if it's your strength, well, you exploit it, right?
It's also the soccer I grew up with playing like that. Like we did not.
True.
It's like just sprint it down to the corner, try to get the cross, see what happens. I mean, we didn't have, 20 years ago, a whole lot of
Real coaching. Yeah.
sophisticated tactical approaches.
The American game has come a long way.
It has. It has.
Um,
When is
but
when's the next qualifiers rounds? You know these things. When's the qualifiers
Cool.
going to start?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
There you go. All right, moving on. Thank you for the soccer portion of the.
We'll cut that.
Nah, we're not cutting it.
Can't
We got
have
through it
that. I
quick.
don't know something.
We
Go
got through it
Atlanta and go Tottenham.
Yeah. You know what? Can we just mute him for the rest of the podcast?
quick. Yeah, I knew he was going to do that. So
Hey, let's just remember. Well, actually, Ed, have you been to a United game yet?
No.
Okay, so I've been to a United game. I was to Mercedes-Benz Stadium before you.
Megatron's
So
butthole.
there you go,
That
Mr. Atlanta.
That is true. That is very true. It does, and he made sure to text message me when that was happening. So I'm like, this guy's a real a-hole.
Yeah, first sporting event in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I've never sat in a seat in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I just buy the worst tickets I can find on StubHub for the Falcons games, and then we go sit up in the 200 level on the corner end zone.
Yeah.
And there's a bar and a bathroom. I'm just like, we're good, right on the rail.
Yeah.
But no, I want to go to an Atlanta United game. Those fans are nuts.
It was a good atmosphere. It was. It was a good game. I enjoyed myself as a neutral for that game. So
Who were they
Thanks for
playing?
not beating anybody up.
they played Orlando. So it was a semi-rivalry game too for them. So it was pretty good.
Cool. Ed, you're on beer number 2. What are you having?
I am. I have the Jamba, the orange babam, and this is the mango marshmallow. I'm still saying the berry is better. This is good, but not as good. It's got way more marshmallow than I thought it would. I love mango flavor, so I thought I was going to be over the moon about it, but it's good. It's just not as good as that berry was.
Nice.
Is the marshmallow giving it like a sweetness? Is that what's putting it off?
Yeah, like you can feel the marshmallow on the back of your tongue, like like it starts mango and like nice and like that mango tartness a little bit, sweetness, tartness that it has, but then you taste the marshmallows kind of like you're eating like just a marshmallow out of the pack at the back end. It's really odd.
Like you're tasting that marshmallow film that like gets
Yes.
stuck in the back of your mouth.
Thank you.
Okay.
Film. That works. Yes. That's exactly what I'm getting. It's good, but it's odd. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It also smells weird. Like you can smell the marshmallow film on it, if you will.
So I looked up the Snow Angel and the it's got cashmere hops, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. That's nice. It's like very tropical. It's got it has oats and wheat. I'm not picking up the oats. Maybe it's adding a little creaminess, I guess, there. But it's definitely very wheaty, heavy in the malt. It's nice. 8.5%. So I'm getting drunk tonight. So surprise.
You were anyway.
Yeah.
It's okay.
What's the ABV on yours, Ed?
Another sixer. They must have like the recipe and just add different things in and keep the base pretty much the same. And I'm sure that's an estimate. I'm sure it fluctuates a little bit, but probably not enough from the mean to, make a new label out of it or whatever.
I went from 6 to 11.
11. Wow.
So did I.
I was gonna make a 6 to midnight joke. So you were right there with me.
Got to get up pretty early in the morning. I'm gonna make a great old man someday. That's
yeah.
I mean, like a really old man, like 78.
Yeah. There's a name you don't put on a beer can. 6 to midnight.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. What else is there in beer news? Anything? People on.
I'm glad you're asking now.
people on Pittsburgh Craft Beer were bitching about the price of one guy was bitching about the price of East End's 4-packs versus the cost of a 4-pack at Brew Gentleman, which I thought was interesting because
that's odd.
Well,
so what do we
complained.
got?
He said the 4-pack of Brew Gentleman's General Braddock was $12, and then a beer he did not specifically identify at East End was for $20. Okay, so General Braddock is their flagship beer, so they make lots and lots of it. It's not a big beer, and this is like the kind of the thing that I'll never quite get over with Brew Gentlemen. They always got to do something just a little bit weird or a little bit different. Like they put little spins on things that I think are odd choices. They're using that silver bullet style thin can, 12 ounces. So it's 12 to 16, and it's a flagship beer versus presumably they're $20 4-packs or something that rotates and moves around.
I'm looking at their website right now, they being East End.
Yeah.
I don't see a $20 4-pack anywhere.
What's the most expensive one there?
I'm seeing like 18 for some of their neighborhood ones.
Those neighborhood ones they're worth 18 because they're one-offs and they're very interesting and there's unique things happening there.
Yeah, that's pretty much that, or like Partly Cloudy is 18.
Partly Cloudy's worth 18. It's good beer.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Cloudy.
Yeah.
The,
but I don't see any $20 ones.
Anyway, I do think that we're starting to see like the cap on like 4-pack prices. The fact that you pay 22 seems like that's salty, but I don't see many that go above 20 anymore. I don't know.
Ted, you're on mute unless you're talking
sorry.
on.
No, I do this all the time. That's Eddie the mute. No, I can kind of justify it for what you're getting because they are all 1-week releases, one-offs, and I guess you want to make your money back, and they're using real fruit in it, like So the cost drives up. So I'm not as mad about that. I can see like some of the ones that we were getting a couple years ago when they were going locally here, local breweries that we will not name was going for 18, 19, 20 bucks a 4-pack. I thought that was salty 4 or 5 years ago. But 22 for this, I can kind of see it. I'd rather it be like a big bourbon barrel-aged stout or something like that if I'm paying that, maybe even more, but I don't know. It's all weird the way people price this stuff out, and it's, what you're going to get back out of it. I can't fault anybody
honestly,
for wanting to make money.
Yeah, and I don't see, in all honesty, I don't see a lot of people will say comparing prices in the general sense. I think when we hit the COVID world and you could start ordering things online, you might have been able to have that moment of hesitancy, where you're like, oh, I'm going to add it to my cart. And you're like, oh, it's actually that price. But like even to your point, Ed, when you drove to the brewery, you drove to the beer shop or whatever, and you're just like, I'm picking up this beer. You didn't care what the price was.
I was already there. It was already a done
unless
deal
it was like,
by the time I walked through.
$60 or something, right?
Except instead of a case, we only got a 4-pack of each instead of the full bore.
But I mean, I feel like those people that the arguing over a couple bucks here or there, I don't think it's a big deal. But it may be in COVID times and being able to either get beer delivery or order and go pick up, maybe some people have gotten a little more cost conscious as beer turned into basically Amazon shopping or something.
I've actually gone a little bit the other way where I will spend a little bit more at a local bar or brewery because we are in COVID times. And even though I was unemployed for 6 months or whatever, I still was spending money at my local places a little bit more liberally because I knew they needed it. And it just the government was giving me whatever. So I'm just like, okay. I wasn't really going anywhere other like Mid-State Distillery. I would go down there and get a bottle, and I'd get a couple drinks to go and come back here. There's more than I would normally spend. So like I can see both sides of that coin. Like, hey, we got to cut back because we want to do this, or hey, these are my friends from Midtown. Do I want to like help support them? So I'm always, I think maybe I wasn't the norm. I don't know, but that's a weird juxtaposition of things. Like, who is spending more and who wasn't in the whole pandemic?
And I mean, I'd say, maybe I wasn't making the exact same point because I agree with you. I spent a lot of money locally. I just meant on a price per, as opposed to amount I spent. I mean, yes, I've supported all the local breweries, all the local bars, and add the tips, 25% on top of it because there's less people there tipping them, right? Like, so making sure people are getting tipped and I'm making those purchases locally. So I may be buying more, but I meant my point was like maybe somebody might have looked at something and went, do I want to spend 22? Is it worth it? Or, should I go to another brewery and spend 12? Maybe some people started doing that more when they have the chance to see the prices from their phone or their computer as opposed to the point of sale.
Oh, sure. I could see that where people would shop around and go, well, my dollar goes farther at XYZ 6 blocks over rather than if I get it here. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you always get what you pay for in beer terms. But I do find that it's probably more so than not, I guess. I don't know what point I'm trying to make there, but like I think the quality that you're going to get if you pay more is usually better than if you pay a little bit less. Like, you can get a brown ale 4-pack for $12, $13 or something like that. But if you get the Imperial brown ale down the street from this other brewery that may or may not have something in it, all right, $15, $16, $17, $18. I can see that. I mean, you and I know what goes into a beer and how much it costs to buy stuff like vanilla beans. So like, we can see it from a different perspective, but Joe Q public, it doesn't always know that. And they're just like, well, why is this so much more expensive? And I can see people doing that math and just going, hey, I can get 3-4 packs for the price of 1.5 at this other place. I could see that definitely.
Yeah. And probably rightfully so. I mean, people may have just been more cautious through the pandemic too. I mean, you say you didn't have a job for a while. Some people may have had a job but didn't know if they were going to have it for the whole time. So maybe they wanted to buy a beer locally to support local, but okay, let me spend 12 instead of 22 because it's just the more, conscious thing to do in case my job ends and my money stream ends at some point.
You'd be appalled at the cheapness of the vodka that I buy. It's
you can't read the label. It's all in Russian.
Yeah.
And it's on that bottom shelf somewhere.
Russian if you're lucky. It's actually written in old Soviet. Like, you're like, God.
This is Albanian for bathtub.
This vodka started in Rocky IV.
Bathtub. Yeah, it says artisanal, but yeah, that means bathtub in Russian.
Bathtub, that means bathtub. That means bathtub in Russian. Hey, this is Turkish vodka. I got some Turkish vodka.
Hey, can anyone read Russian? What does that say? May cause blindness. Oh God. No.
It's just bottled rubbing alcohol.
The ironic part is that I didn't even have vision benefits, I guess, at that point. I'm like, oh, shit. Can I afford a guide dog? I don't know.
I think that, so for me, spending during the pandemic just shifted. I gotta tell you though, after this pandemic is done, I've got to find a new excuse for why my alcoholism is so raging. Because I'm just like, well, I'm home. What else am I gonna do? Like,
oh yeah, my whole thing was happy hours at 2:30. I'm like, I'm in pajamas. Fuck it.
Yeah. So but really, what changed for me is where I spend. My spending may have gone up a bit, but only because, my 30 pack of like hams, I'm not doing that. I haven't done that for more than a year. I'm not going to do that. I liked hams, but I'm not spending those dollars to there. I'm spending it locally. You know, it's got to go to my local brewers because I want my local brewers to still be there. So no hams, no high life. You know, screw that. I'll buy if I want a Pilsner, I'll just buy the Sunshine Pils, the Victory. We're good. And I'm very much a case guy. I'll buy the loose fours here and there. I've given up pretty much on the mix of 6 or mix 4 packs, mostly because the places I go these days just don't have good mixed selection, and the stuff that's in their mixed case is, I think, all old. So I just don't bother. I've become really, really sensitive to old beer. If you don't have a born on date, and if I don't know it's new, screw you, I'm not buying it. Like I walked past Sunshine, Lawson's Sip of Sunshine at multiple breweries. Picked it up, looked at it. Nope, too old. Put it back down and moved on. That stuff has been dropped all over Lancaster County, and it's sitting on shelves. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Here too, and you used to have to solve the riddle of the Sphinx to get that shit.
Yeah,
like anything from those Vermont breweries was insane.
And Jeff, you kind of hinted on this. Getting beer kind of, I forget how you put it, but like basically it's like Instacart, I guess, or something like that. You can get direct, which we talked about a little bit, and then it turned into that turned into a tweet, which turned into a blog post, which turned into this call and this
to an invite
podcast.
Yeah.
and because so let me give all the background. I was trying to figure out how I was going to write about the double nugget nectar release, and I just didn't feel like writing about the fact that Tröegs had a hard time with it. Like that's not that interesting. They addressed it. I don't think they're gonna have this problem again. Blah 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 blah. But
right, and it wasn't like a repetitive problem, or
right.
It's quote unquote their fault, but it wasn't like
right. It's
like
not like they're parking.
Something they did to themselves.
It's not like they're parking for years, right?
Yeah, right.
Like they had shitty parking for a decade at 2 different locations.
Remember when we talked about that? That was the problem in the world.
That was the problem.
And Tröegs addressed us. We were big shots then.
My favorite is when he actually got so mad at you that he pulled the blueprint out for the new parking.
Yes.
I was like, now we're making a difference.
Yeah. He's like, let me show you our new parking lot. He pulled out the blueprints.
John Cena's done 250 Make-A-Wish, and you got 5 extra parking spots added. Way to go, buddy.
Well, here's the problem. Their parking at their old place was like a World War II bombing run. It was so bad. It was so bad at the old place. If you got a drizzle, you ended up having to park in a puddle that was like 3 inches deep. It was hell there.
If you could get through the intersection by the Ford dealer.
Right.
Because it flooded out.
Right. That wasn't the best location. And I loved that.
I was always coming from uphill down, so I never had a problem.
Never had a problem.
I just roll up my pants and walk in. I'm good.
Then they moved to Hershey, and they don't have enough parking. God, I hammered those guys about parking for years. For years, I hammered them about parking.
You made a difference.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't have your own spot there right now.
We discussed that. They've declined to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Put them right with the dumpsters, where they tow regularly.
Here's your Bearcat spot. Enjoy it. Yeah, but now I've lost the thread. Oh, so I'm not gonna write. I'm not gonna write about that. Like that they had problems. They addressed it. They fixed it. But like, I still was gonna drink the beer, and that felt like a significant enough release that I needed to write about it. Even though I write hardly ever anymore. And I'd been thinking about this direct-to-consumer issue. Here in Pennsylvania, a bunch of breweries, Aslan, other half, Vale, and I'm missing a whole bunch. You can go online and you can order.
Treehouse, Trillium.
Treehouse is in it now too.
I think it was Treehouse. Yeah.
Jesus Christ! So, and all these breweries, these hype breweries, you can go online and you can order 3 4-packs at a very hefty price, with anywhere from a $20 to $25 shipping fee, and you will get it like that, basically next day. And like they're essentially going over the top. And I was thinking about this, and then Jeff, you text me that Dancing Gnome is in Columbus, which I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I think it's very weird that they're there. Why there? And I think I texted you back. This is craft beers going into like asymmetrical warfare. They're like the big dogs have like carved up the pieces. Things are getting, I think, maybe a little bit desperate because, as I've always said, too many of these craft beer breweries are addicted to growth. Their business model is predicated on constant growth. They've never actually decided, like early on, how big they wanted to be, and then sat there and stayed there and said, "This is the brewery I want to make," and then worried about the leap up. They've always just been like, no, we just keep moving. And so when you get to that point, you have these smaller breweries that now they're nimble, and now they need to go over the top with direct to consumer, or they need to move into other markets which don't necessarily clearly align. Like, why Dancing Gnome is distributing in Columbus when they don't distribute, as far as I understand it, in Pittsburgh, doesn't really make much sense. Like, what are they doing?
Wait, is that true? They don't distribute.
I don't think they're.
Pittsburgh?
I don't know that they're in stores in Pittsburgh because I think they make you go there.
Yeah.
Whereas Hitchhiker is at like Giant Eagle. Stuff like that. You can go to a Giant Eagle and get Hitchhiker. That's like the only store I think they distribute to in Pittsburgh.
That's correct.
That's what Artie used to do at ABC. He would say, Appalachian Brewing Company in Harrisburg, he would not have his beer on tap anywhere within a certain mile radius because he wanted people to go to ABC.
Well, that's because they were a restaurant first.
Sure, but it's like that's such an odd mentality. I don't even get that. Like, I don't know. I still say that fighting the distribution battle is a losing battle, no matter what you do, because the big boys have bought up.
Well, that's why you go over the top. That's why you go over the top. You go direct to consumer.
Well, Jeff, and even to that point. So, like, if you're in Pittsburgh, like, is it a huge inconvenience to go to Dancing Gnome? Just like when you were in Harrisburg, was it a huge inconvenience to go to ABC? Probably not that big of a deal. But I mean, with Dancing Gnome, like, you're already a licensed label in Pennsylvania. Wouldn't a Harrisburg or a Philly be your next logical step, as opposed to a new state? You would think.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. I think it's very strange how they're deciding to move. Now, when I made that post, a couple of people picked up on it, and Dancing Gnome actually responded.
Really?
And did you see that?
I did not see that.
Yeah,
I was engaging with the distributor in Ohio, so you and I are bringing two different pieces of information to this. So fantastic!
Cool. I only got one tweet back from Dancing Gnome. For the most part, the Columbus drop was a limited one-time thing, not continuous. It's of course exploration for the future, but we're approached about a few events and sent some of them to gauge interest. We have much more long-term and consistent growth plans for PA.
Interesting. So I talked to Adina Distributing, who they're based in Cincinnati, but they cover large part of Ohio. And I was curious because I did also see, and I sent you this with the vomiting emoji where Listerman did a collaboration with Dancing Gnome for a Tottenham beer. So vomit.
Yeah.
Won't drink it.
Ooh, sounds great.
Yeah. Again, mute him. So I was curious if that was the reason why it became some type of distribution. And I directly asked the question of Adina Distributing. I said, is Dancing Gnome importation a permanent move or just temporary? So really curious, because that's similar to the response you got. And well, Adina's response was as permanent as anything in craft beer. But they were at least under the impression that it's somewhat permanent, right?
I mean, that's what I hear on that. It's somewhat permanent.
Right. And so then I did ask too, was it just like Cincinnati, Columbus kind of region, where was their footprint that they were going to send it? And he said they'll add some all over the state, including Toledo, Youngstown, and maybe even into Cleveland. So, I mean, if you're hitting all three C's, you're hitting 6-7 million people right there, which is massive distribution.
Doing? What are they doing? This doesn't make any sense to me.
So we couldn't. I mean, to me, to be a temporary drop to hit 6 million people would be a bad thing, right? It's like, here's a little taste. Here's your crack. You can't have it again, right?
Right.
I feel like you would want, and you've already probably paid some fees to come into the state for the the labels, the licenses, whatever it is. You've made an investment to come in the state. You continue, right?
I'm going to just kind of say it. I think their response to me is bullshit. There you go.
A CYA response for the Pittsburghers, probably.
Yep. We'll see what they do.
That probably came from their HR/PR person.
By the way, if your HR person's also your PR person, you have a serious problem. Anyway,
I just wanted to make a call back.
Yeah, we're not doing that again. I think what they sent me was total crap. But I'd send me crap too. Like, who the fuck am I? I'm just some asshole with a podcast and a blog that hardly anyone reads. That I hardly ever write.
Why couldn't their response be like, look, we think the Ohio market makes sense for us, or whatever the response could be? Like,
Yinzers are.
I know. I know.
You are mine. Whoa! You're mine. I can't. Okay. I was fine with driving over to your place to get you. I was fine with that, but now you won't. Like, if you're not going to be down at Duffy's in the South Hills, like, but you're going to drive it out to Columbus, like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I mean, like, we both, Ed and Billy, like, slight variations of time, but we both live about the same distance from Pittsburgh. But I can now drive 10 minutes to get Dancing Gnome, and you still have to drive to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And look, I was happy for you. I was like, hey, that's awesome. I'm happy for them. I want them. But, like, what is it about the Columbus market other than it's probably up and coming and really, an interesting market to be in? I think that's true. But why? I don't know. I think they have to be careful here. They may alienate some local support.
I mean, here's the one thought I had on that. Like, and this is going to, like, remove the Pittsburgh argument from this, because, obviously, yes, Pittsburghers might want to pick it up in different locations in the city. This is more of a Pennsylvania argument, because, like, really, like, the southeastern market is controlled by a lot of the Philly brewers, and a couple others here and there. But
they get privileges too. They get a lot of stuff that you can't get anywhere else. Like, they get Pliny the Younger and Elder. Yeah.
Exactly, right. They may have just seen that as a bit more of a competition. And I don't get Lawson's, or, you know what I mean? Like, maybe seeing some of those other breweries that have tagged Pennsylvania as a target market, they went, you know what? We could go 3 hours east and we might be another shelf turd because, we're amongst other giants. We can go west and there's competition, but people might buy us over something else. I mean, I would expect they might have done a market assessment on that, or to some aspect, maybe not a full blown professional market assessment, but to some at least gut check market assessment to say, you know what, Westward Ho. I don't know.
I don't know. I see. I don't begrudge the fact that they're doing it. I think that there are people that are like Cans in Pittsburgh, which is a blog maybe, but definitely a Twitter account. Like it was clear they were like, whoa, like record scratch, which I didn't even know they read my stuff. And they're like, and they were very much like, you just dropped this in your blog post. I'm like, yeah, and I didn't think it was. It was a small. It was an anecdotal data point about a broader concept.
It was the pee in the mattress, and they felt it. That's exactly what it was.
That's a great way to put it. It was the pee in the mattress, and they felt it. And I was just kind of like, yeah, it's a thing. And they were suspect. They were like they didn't want to believe it. I'm like, no, it's a real thing. Like I'm not just running with shit. And
sorry, by the way, Pens just won in shootout.
The Penguins can't win in regulation. The team is bad. We have a problem. Whatever. Moving on.
Anyway, small sidestep. It just happened.
Yeah, the Penguins suck. I don't care what their record is. That team is shit. Anyway, back to the point. They took exception to it as a very Ginzer response. Like for me, it was like, no. This is making the point. Like this is asymmetrical. People are going in weird directions. They're trying to use their nimbleness. They're trying to focus onto targets that maybe not felt by others or seen. And it just, I get it. It makes sense for Dancing Gnome. I do get it. I just think what it ends up looking like to me is a very disjointed market out there for how consumers acquire beer. And when you couple that, and I feel like I kind of lost the thread on this a bit, the juxtaposition of the accessibility of Tröegs versus this asymmetrical warfare where we're like going all these different directions where it's so stratified and hard to follow, and I've got to figure out how the hell I'm going to get this beer versus a brewery that's just trying to say, no, like we're easy to get. You can find us anywhere. Here, go buy our beer. It leaves you with, well, which way are we going? I think the craft beer landscape's it just always is evolving, but I feel like it's getting harder to follow.
But do you think that maybe, and I might be, so I've been going to Pittsburgh for 20 some years since I was in college, and all my buddies are from there. And that used to be where craft beer went to die. So one of the things I wonder is, did they send people out to the Giant Eagles, to the, wherever, and see what other, what's East End, like check the expiration dates on their stuff and see what's going on. Is it moving off the shelves? And then they go over and they're just hopping the border and checking out. Maybe the beers are going faster over there, and they say, well, this is a better market. Do you feel like that might be a thing? I know Pittsburgh's a finicky market, and craft beer has only become a thing in the past like decade because they've become like a little bit more hip, and there's been like a youth movement in there a little bit. Do you think that maybe they just said, hey, it's not ready yet, and we'll let it incubate for a couple years? Or what do you think is going on there?
Here's my thought, and I really have thought a lot about this, the relationship piece of it, like where they did the collaboration with Listermann. So Listermann's fairly well-respected brewery, gets good distribution here in Ohio. I'm even wondering if they just were like, maybe the collaboration was the excuse to distribute, or they collaborated and were like, you know what, leverage a relationship. I mean, business is relationships, right? And so has Dancing Gnome collaborated with anybody else in PA? Because if they haven't, maybe they went, you know what, maybe we can leverage what Listermann has going, and we could start following the market here. That could be another option too.
That is interesting. I don't know I don't really have my finger on the pulse of the Western PA, the Ohio border beer scene, to be honest with you, believe it or not. But yeah, it just seems weird. But I just always knew that Pittsburgh was such a finicky market for that stuff. So maybe they just decided, hey, this is where it's going to sell more. I mean, I'm speculating here or spitballing here or whatever, but
yeah, I got a thought on collaborations and that issue, but first I want to go to beer number 3. I know, Jeff, you're on beer number 3, correct?
Yep, you start because I just poured it.
Okay, so beer number 3 for me is Morning Necessities. This is an imperial stout brewed with coffee and vanilla. This is a collaboration between New Trail and Pizza Boy, and this is part of that expedition pack. This was expedition pack number 1. What I learned today is that expedition pack number 2 will be released next week. Expedition pack had collaborations with Pizza Boy, Human Robot, Dancing Gnome, and one other I can't.
Well, there's your answer.
Yeah,
they have collaborated.
They have collaborated internally. Yep, it's a nice segue.
Thanks, guys.
No problem. I just let you
rip from the headlines.
I let you just go with it. I just let you go with it, and then just pull the rug out from underneath you.
You buried the lead.
This is the third time rug or carpet has been mentioned, by the way, this podcast. 'Cause we had carpetbagger and carpet by Ed, and you just said rug. So
rug getting pulled out from underneath you. So
topical.
This beer is 13%, and holy shit, it is good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm so mad about it now.
This is super good. It is silky. It is intense. The coffee and the vanilla are very well done. It is thick like motor oil. Totally. This is. I've had all 4 beers now out of this. This was the 4th one. I was holding it for this. And this is the winner of the 3. The others are a American IPA, which was nice. A double hazy with Dancing Gnome, which was nice. A Pilsner with Human Robot, which was the right choice to go with them. That beer was also very nice. That beer was really crisp, really clean.
Human Robot. I've never even heard of
They're
that.
out of Philadelphia area, and they do a lot of lagers. Human Robot's nice, good stuff, really good stuff.
I mean, not as if Victory wasn't cornering that market, but okay, way to go.
Yeah, really. I will say this: if you want a lager out of the eastern half of Pennsylvania, go to Victory. You'll pay less, and will it be, any lower quality than Human Robot? No, Human Robot's got a very expensive lagers. They're all very good. But this one, Morning Necessities, man, it's a killer. Expedition Pack number 2 from New Trail comes out next week. This was a hot commodity. These were flying off the shelves. 12-pack. Friend of the show, Dustin, alerted me to when it was on sale at my local beer distributor down at Roots in Mount Joy. And Roots. It's spelled Roots, but it's Roots because that's a very Lancaster thing.
Well, it's spelled creek, but people still say crick. So
they do, yeah.
Doesn't make it right, Bill.
Doesn't make it right.
But there is a crick. This is a beer show, so I mean.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Why did you invite the fact checker?
Shame on me.
I used to get away with this shit.
But these were flying off the shelves. Dustin mentioned the expedition, looking at Pack 2 and this one. This is what Base Camp should have been. Sierra Nevada's Base Camp idea.
Yeah.
This is that done, I think, a little bit better because it's Pennsylvania based. Great idea. Really like it. All right. Kupko, what do you got for number 2? Oh, wait. Or it's
So
number 3?
I got a Vermont beer.
Wow.
Now. Yeah. I really do love my local beer shop. We pull in some good stuff there. It's from 10 Bends. So they're kind of new to me. I think they're fairly new to the market. Because I haven't seen them very much, but like maybe over the last couple of weeks, they just started popping in here. It's called Northern Heights. So it's a New England DIPA. 8% Citra Mosaic Amarillo Warrior. Real nice drinking. A little bit of a spice on it from freshness, but delicious. And I mean, I gotta say, that's a quality label. It's not overdone. It has some nice coloring
really nice
on it.
Yeah, the Aurora Borealis effect. That's really cool.
It really is just a nicely done label. Which really was what caught my eye to it when I'm looking at the mix case. And and then I look it up and I was like, well, fairly highly rated in what I wanted, as far as style. And I looked at it and it was canned 119, so not too bad.
That's not bad.
Got it on it. Yeah, I know, which is great to know. And yeah, it's real good beer. The other tall boy I have back there is also a lager, which if we get there next, it's going to happen.
Are you on a first name basis with your local bottle shop?
Sort of, yeah.
Will they call you if something comes in?
Not quite there.
Not your Carson Street Deli or whatever, like where they'd be like, hey,
yeah, right. That was a good time. Carson Street's fantastic. Or yeah.
I used to hate
not quite there, but I can engage with them to ask them questions. They don't call me first, but I can ask and find out. And in a way, COVID brought us closer together because they were a place that delivered. So certainly on the very front end, when everything was shut down completely, I was ordering delivery basically weekly from them.
That's great.
Nice.
I opened the third of my Jamba suit here with the Baba.
It's the same label. It's just a different color.
Just different colors. That's it.
They tripled down on the IP.
Yeah. This one
is IP3. When do we get to IP4 or IP6?
Next
Internet
podcast.
Humor.
It's very funny.
This one is peaches and cream cake. And
cake.
Yes.
So there's some lactose in there, and
it tastes like a peach cake with like the cream cheese, sugary. It's awesome.
6%.
Yeah.
Another 6. So I got the 666.
So do you put it above? Do you put it above the mango marshmallow?
Yes, but definitely below the berry. The berry is phenomenal.
It's really just because you're impartial to a fruit of the loom, bukkake.
I stand by my joke.
Okay.
I stand by my joke. That landed hard. It was pretty good. No, but the berry...
It landed everywhere.
It did. Ironically, we're going to have to throw those underpants away. I hate that I just laughed at my own joke.
God. I'm halfway through this morning.
Oh, good.
It's so 13%, and holy cow, it is so good.
For the record, 5 Caps lived up to his name on this one.
Yeah,
I went 5 Caps.
I think it's funny that like 5 minutes ago you're like, oh, it's so thick and it's 12% alcohol or whatever the fuck you said, and then
13.
You're like 13. Hey, I was close. And then you're like, oh, I'm halfway through it now. Like it was 2 minutes ago, dude. What are you doing? We were stalling.
We were
time.
the ones talking. He was the one drinking. Okay.
Yeah. And by the way,
we're falling behind.
By the way, I've got a fourth one, and this one is even bigger.
My fourth one is vodka.
Woo!
Woo!
Man, is it the shady Turkish one or
no? It's a Pinnacle vodka in a plastic travel bottle, and I have a backup just in case I run out of this one.
Wow. Wow. I got to tell you, I don't even think they sell that stuff in Utah. So, like, I mean, they don't. Like, you're going to be stuck with, like, do they do the minis out there or?
No, it's 3.2% vodka. That's how they do
3.2.
And then, like, you have to, like, be certain. Well, actually, they were like precogs, man. They would serve you behind the screen. But now we're in COVID, like everybody serves you from behind the screen at this point.
Some bars you have to buy like a membership or some shit, or somebody has to sponsor you. Yeah.
God, this sounds fucking.
Because then you're a
awful.
private club,
Yep.
and you don't have to follow the laws.
Yeah.
Call Mitt Romney. He'll help you out with that.
Mitt, my boy.
So
let's go.
Back home in Pittsburgh, I when I was in Pittsburgh, I belonged to two private clubs, the Fire Hall and the American Legion, right? And I loved it. Drinks were cheap. People actually went there to, like, gamble, you know, play the cherry machines, the poker machines, pulleys, whatever. You know, go in, get a shot in a beer. The working man special at the Jervosburg
In Utah,
Fire Hall.
that's called a sidecar.
Sidecar. The working man special at Jervosburg Fire Hall was the best deal going. You could get either an Iron City or a Yingling 20-ounce draft and a ounce and a half of either turkey or Jameson for $3. It had to be your first
Perfect.
drink, and you got one. It was the working man special. Had to be your first, and you got one. So, like, the working man special, right? Got off work, go have a 20-ounce beer and a shot and a half of Jameson. $3.
Just think of the working man's day, because if you think of, like, the origin of Permanis, right? Like, you get your fries on your sandwich at lunch.
Yep.
Like, that's your lunch. You go to the bar after work. You get your whiskey and your beer.
Yep.
That's a good day for less than $10.
It really is. Really is. You know, a 20-ounce Iron City and a shot of Jameson for $3. Sign me up. I'll do that every day of the week.
Every day. I'm in.
In fact, I did.
You're a
Jervosburg
working
Fire
man.
Hall.
What can we say? Yeah.
Jervosburg Fire Hall. When Fincher got hired as the offensive coordinator for the Steelers, I didn't know who he was before they hired him. They put up his picture, and I go, that guy looks like he just walked out of the Jervosburg Fire Hall. How the hell is he the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Now he's fired. He was not the problem.
They let Ben call the plays. I mean, you or I could be the offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, really. He was not the problem. We are about to enter the nuclear winter of Pittsburgh sports. It's going to be so bad.
Unless they make a move, but I agree.
It's going to be bad. What else we got? I don't know. What are you guys watching? Watch anything interesting, Jeff?
I am on my own rewatching Arrested Development just because I love it.
Love it.
I
with
still need to
Janine.
get through that show. I still have only done like the
Really?
first half the first season. Yeah.
Oh, come
And
on.
It's really
so
good.
It's so in my wheelhouse too, and I'm like,
It really is.
And I fell off like
The just small one-liners are fantastic. They are works of art in that show.
It's so
They
fast.
really are.
The only problem with that show, and it's totally fixed by having it be on demand now. When it was on TV, the problem was it was so fast and it was happening and you're watching it live, you'd miss huge swaths of the show because they would make a gag, you would laugh, and then you'd miss like 3. Because it was so compact and so tight. The callbacks are so strong.
They are. It's fantastic. It's so
really
well
good.
done.
It's really good.
And then with Janine, for the first time for both of us, we're going through 30 Rock. Because we have not done that. Yeah.
Love 30 Rock.
Well,
we have maybe say like caught a random 1 or 2 here or there, but like We had never just watched the whole way through.
I think 30 Rock is brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
I fall out of my chair laughing, and I'm rewatching it every once in a while just because you can binge it. Your buddy Adam said he didn't like it, and I was like, I don't know if you consider my lunch table anymore. I'm like,
Here's
the
the problem.
humor in that show is hysterical.
Here's the problem with 30 Rock. The people that wrote and starred in 30 Rock would not write and star in 30 Rock in 2021. The show they did then could not be on the air today.
You think?
I really truly believe that. Yep. There's a lot of.
Are you saying they're going to ban Werewolf Bar Mitzvah? Because that's the greatest goddamn thing I've ever seen.
There's a lot of bits. There's a lot of gags in there that I think that they would that in retrospect they'd be like, well, I wouldn't. No.
You think they're
and you know what? I don't think you get to do that. I don't think you get to, when it's your show, you don't get to go, well, I wouldn't have done that today. Especially when it was just like a couple of years ago. Like this just happened. Like you don't get to.
It wasn't like the 1950s or something. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You don't get to, when it's your show and it just happened, you don't get to be like, well, I understand different now. No. And I like the show, and I think those gags are
like
good.
when Jenna Maroney's like, well, I had to turn down Harvey Weinstein. And she's like, well, 3 out of 5 times. Like,
right.
But that was before the whole thing hit.
That was before the whole thing.
But it was after Courtney Love was like, don't go to a party at Harvey Weinstein. Like, it was known.
It was known. And they made a gag on it. And
Yeah.
Now that gag's not good. And it's like, well, and I would say, no, that gag's still good. Problem is, they don't think so. I don't know.
Fair point. Well, and you know what? All honest, another point, like I'll say those killer NBC shows. So we're talking Office, Parks and Rec, 30 Rock. They were all a series that you really had to say go all in on for season 1 before you were hooked.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like day 1 you went, this is the best show I'll ever see. But they all paid off. They were all fantastic. They were all great to watch. But midway through season 1, if you abandoned, you wouldn't have felt bad, but you definitely missed out.
Yeah, you didn't get the payoff. Yeah.
I do feel like The Office had a chance to jump the shark, which it did. Absolutely. Jim and Pam getting together was the worst thing that happened to that show. But Parks and Rec just got better and better. And they dealt with the relationship way better than Office did. And I thought that show, after the first season, just never lost steam and ended at the perfectly right time.
Well, Park and Rec gets that right because The Office got it wrong.
Exactly.
They were 2 seasons behind or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly.
So they were like, oh, we fucked that up. Now we know what we're doing. And, Ben and Leslie getting together didn't hamstring the show as much as Jim and Pam getting together did.
Yeah. And even add Community to that list too, right? Like, I mean, I love the first couple episodes, but that's because I'm kind of a geek, right? Like it took a little bit to get into that. And I mean, that show is very geeky overall, but that show has a lot of payoff in watching it as well.
Yeah, it does. I felt like Community and real Community lovers don't like it when you say things like this. There are episodes that just didn't work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And when you say it, they're like, whoa, it's like, look, this show's not perfect. You don't get to, put it up here on some pedestal. There were some episodes that just were a mess.
Well, when you do 6 seasons, it's okay to flub a couple, right?
The problem is
not everybody has a good day at work.
The lows for like Park and Rec were few and far between, and they were not deep. The lows for Community were really deep.
And I think it's probably because Community took bigger risks.
Definitely.
Comedically,
yes,
I think.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's why. I mean, they tried things that
didn't work.
Some worked, some didn't. And they also dealt with some significant departures too. Especially in that latter half, right? I mean, losing Donald Glover is a significant glue to that cast.
Yeah, it's tough to come back from.
Yeah. I think I forgot how hamstrung they were by that.
And I mean,
that was a big loss.
as much as that sucked, but we got Atlanta, and Atlanta is just pure brilliance.
I still have never seen
I've
it.
not watched it,
Funny enough, I've never watched it.
Wow.
I know, right?
I mean, honestly, if you guys want to binge something, I couldn't recommend it more. And there's a fantastic beer scene in it as well. And I will not ruin it for you. But I go back and forth with a couple of my friends that I know have watched it several times on this one particular scene because it's hilarious. I highly recommend it. It's very threaded. It has like the open-faced humor, but it also like just it weaves in that deep, darker humor across it, and it's very well done.
Were there 2 seasons of that or just 1?
It's definitely 2. I don't think there was a third. Definitely 2.
Okay. Ed, what are you watching?
I'm right now. I mean, all I can think of right now that we're talking about TV is WandaVision. I'm all in on that. It's so freaking good. And it's the first 2 episodes. I can see where people like who aren't.
Well, we talked about the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
and it was like,
yeah,
you're
like, what am I watching here? But man, are they really digging the heels in deep now? I am so excited for tomorrow morning to wake up and download that. Watch it on Disney Plus. We're gonna
for which you pay.
Yes, for which I subscribe. This show is so good, it's unbelievable, and it follows the comics enough that I'm like, oh, it's so damn good. And that's the swerve in the last episode. I was like, these guys in the MCU really freaking know what they're doing.
When the word recast came in, I was like, okay. Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is like, so when you watch the first 2 episodes, you are like, what am I watching?
Yep.
But when you get to 5 and you reflect on 1 and 2, you really realize that 1 and 2 are really like, symbolizing how in control she was in 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But by 5, she's losing control. So like 1 and 2 are kind of boring because she controls everything. And really, as you're watching it over the timeline, when you piece it together, it's unraveling. So like if you watched 1 unraveling, like it might have been interesting at that time, but the arc isn't quite there across all of it.
Friend of the show, Joel, Florida Brewer. He summed it up best, I thought, which was, look, MCU, we haven't had a movie in a year. No one's got time for this slow burn bullshit. And he said that, after the first 2 episodes, and he was right.
Right.
We hadn't had a movie in a while. Mandalorian started out with a bang. That first episode just like hit perfectly. It made the case. This is a classic Western in space. It hit everything. And you were like, perfect. We get 2 episodes, bang, bang, out of WandaVision. And it's like, what the fuck am I watching? I don't know what the hell's going on. The slow burn wasn't appreciated in week 1. Now, week 5, we're in.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like MCU and Disney, they made the choice to release 2 episodes because they knew they couldn't give you one untying in episode 1, right? It had to be full control. But by the time you got to episode 2, they had to be like, there's a little bit of something we're not going to tell you about. But if they had done 1 episode week 1, 80% of the people would have never watched episode 2.
Tuned out.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Really what they should have done is just, and I understand why they couldn't, I do. It should have just been an hour-long episode. The cadence got very strange, but I get why they do it. I understand it. They made interesting choices. I just got done finishing very late Cobra Kai season 3. Exceptional.
I haven't seen any of it. You're liking it.
Ditto.
Exceptional. It's nostalgia porn. Season 3 is great. Fantastic. Just really good. I watched a documentary about Charles I, which no one listening to this show would care about. And and
I just want to hear about William the First.
They should make a documentary called Watcher the First.
Yeah. The documentary on Charles I was good, but it's some BBC bullshit. And other than that, I started rewatching one of my favorite movies because Ed, you share it with me, Drive.
Oh, that movie's so good.
So good.
Film noir. It's so awesome.
That movie and I watched it again. I've watched that movie at least a dozen times. Yes.
Oh my God!
Super
Look
good.
at that. I bet he has those alphabetized.
It is so
Makes
good.
it easy to find
so well
on
done.
a snap.
The soundtrack is great.
Yes.
The story is great. It's got some of the best chase scenes ever. It's well shot. Typically, I hate Hollywood, like filming itself a bit because he's a stunt driver in part, and I hate the masturbatory like nature of like Hollywood considering itself in a movie. But this
La La
works,
Land.
and Albert Brooks in it is fantastic. He is so good. Like when Ryan Gosling said, Albert Brooks reaches out and says reaches out to shake his hand, and Ryan Gosling says, "My hands are dirty," and Albert Brooks, who's a gangster, which is very weird, says, "So are mine." Man, I was all in on Albert Brooks. I was like, "Yeah, you're the best." He's so good in that movie.
Yeah.
So that the girl in that, Carey Mulligan, she's in that.
Super cute.
She's in, which I also may or may not have added to the streaming service that you don't pay for, that you subscribe to. Promising Young Woman, another fantastic movie.
I've not seen that yet. I heard it's
Yeah,
good.
I would watch it. It's pretty good.
Yeah. That cast is so solid in that movie.
Yeah.
And Refn followed it up with a total bomb. The Dragon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but it was a total bomb. But that movie, Driver, is so well done. If you've never
I
watched
remember
it,
I watched it on a whim when it first came out, and I downloaded it and I watched it, and I was like, that movie was awesome. Like, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
That Ryan Gosling, like, for a Disney kid or whatever the hell he was, like, man, he has become a good freaking actor.
I think that's his best role. He's fantastic.
He was great in The Nice Guys, too. I thought he was really funny.
He was also in The Big Short. He was good in that.
Yeah, I did watch that, actually. The Big Short. I didn't watch Wolf of Wall Street. I watched The Big Short. I thought
I've
The Big
not
Short
watched-
was really well done.
I haven't watched Wolf of Wall Street. By the way, speaking of The Big Short, everyone's racing to make GameStop Big Short 2.0.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of like stories that have already been like picked up, and it's like,
Well, isn't that when like the admins like shut down the group because they were divided on like the Hollywood contract?
yeah,
I'm like, you guys. The irony of that is, it's like, here's the little guy is gonna take down these big wealthy people trying to short a company we love, and now you're divided on who in Hollywood is gonna pay you enough money to
Right.
make your movie.
the GameStop story was my favorite story of 2021. Absolute favorite. I did not buy any GameStop. I did not participate in the GameStop run up or the short squeeze, but I was following it minute by minute. Interesting story. Little guy got eaten. Whatever. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is why you buy index funds, folks.
I don't
Just buy the
understand
index.
much of it, but I was like, hey, way to go for those guys for sticking it to this. then they're like, "Oh my god, someone needs to protect us."
Although,
Shut up.
although GameStop is at 51, so it's still up technically because there's no reason that stock should be at 51. That stock's like worth 20. Anyway, God, we're almost at 2 hours. I got a fourth beer here. Should we like stretch for it, or what are we doing?
I'm on vodka, so you guys are. We're on borrowed time here.
I mean, what I'm going to say is I'm going to drink beer number 4 if it's on the podcast or if it's on the after hours.
Well,
so your call.
Remember when we used to do?
We can chop this up. Wait,
We used to do an after show to editing.
No one
that's
edits. What I'm used to. I mean,
we don't edit anymore. We just post. We used to do an after show, but we don't do that anymore. It's just all after show now.
Hey, the good news is for this one, I remember everything.
Your dog is still alive.
Oh
Holy
my
cow.
God, Mia!
Mia! I didn't think Mia was still alive. How old
buddy.
Mia?
Mia's 8.
I thought Mia was a lot older than that. Oh my!
We got her 3 weeks after we got married. What a way to, start a life together and have absolute
if we can handle
freedom.
a dog, we can handle a kid.
You know what? That's a great story. Let's talk about your marriage, but more importantly, let's talk about the beer you brewed for your marriage. Because I don't think that story's been told here, right?
I would think not. Okay.
That's a good story.
Yeah. So, we'll start with inspiration. We wanted to do a wedding that had some beer theme around it. And part of that meant we wanted to brew a beer for it. And when it came down to style choosing, I really, what I would go on a regular basis to try and, I'll say, seek out is the Captain Lawrence, right? The apple brandy triple, right? That was the beer that I loved to just seek out. It was called Golden Delicious, right? And that was kind of an inspiration for me to, like, I don't want to say replicate, but like base something on. And so talked to Al, Pizza Boy Brewing, Al's of Hampton. Everyone who listens to the show knows who that is.
We talk about him all the time. Friend of the show. Friend of the show.
Absolutely. So talked to him about it, and we just started spitballing some ideas and what we could do. And so what it really came down to is what we did was we brewed a triple. So base beer, just like Golden Delicious, right? And the apple brandy barrel was critical to that. Got the barrel.
Where'd you get an apple brandy barrel like 10 years ago?
Al got it. Al got it.
Okay.
I mean, he's Al, right?
Yeah.
And in that barrel, we, in addition to just being in the apple brandy barrel, we threw in cocoa nibs as well. So added a little bit of chocolate to it. And then in parallel, Al was like, I got this Buffalo Trace barrel. You want to throw it in that too? And Buffalo Trace being my favorite bourbon, I was like, I mean,
hell yeah.
Yes. and so it sat in both of those barrels and had the cocoa nibs on it. And when you figure you have a triple, has some of those banana flavors. I mean, it really came out as almost like a banana split in like flavor bursting. And, we brewed it at 11%. I mean, I feel like it was pushing 13 by the time it was done because
it was a big hitter.
It was boozy AF.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
And so what we did for the wedding was we gave everybody a bottle as the parting gift, and a glass. Like, we had glasses made throughout as well that had our wedding date and our names on it. But it was also on tap. That was our toast beer. So instead of champagne, we gave everybody this beer. And it was fantastic. And I'll say we were fortunate enough that we had 2 sixtels of it. So and we only used 1 sixtel at the wedding. I took the second sixtel to Fedge of July because I was like, let the people have it. So other people got to try it who weren't at our wedding. And we also have, and it's probably still in the 30s, number of bottles that I sit in the cellar. And we open one every year on our anniversary, sometimes in between 2, just if we feel like drinking another one. And it's been aging fantastic. But it was I had only done home brewing, so I understood brewing, but hadn't done it at a industrial level. So it was an awesome experience to do it, on a professional system with Al, and really get that experience and to just have it come out so well. And it's a great, yearly connection that we get to have tasting it.
And you're at 8 years, 9 years.
We will be 8 years here in April. Yeah.
And when you had it last year, how was it aging?
Oh, man, it still has a boozy bite. Like, some of it's rounded a bit, but that bite that was there is still there, which it really gives me hope that it's going to last. Hopefully as long as we're alive and drinking it. It's really where I'm at.
If you have 30, do you have 30 bottles now, or you started with 30?
I will pull up my spreadsheet and answer your question.
I forgot about your spreadsheet.
No.
I forgot about your spreadsheet. Oh my God. I first saw your spreadsheet when we came out to do a vertical of East End's.
Yeah, gratitude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You were the gratitude completionist, the most complete gratitude. Vertical that could have existed. I mean, you had stuff that was not released. Gratitude, the Flatitudes. That was an incredible vertical. Absolutely incredible.
It really was.
And you did that before you left town.
I did. That was the going away. The sad but awesome time. So let's see. I have 38 bottles left.
Wow.
Of our wedding beer.
Wow.
So 46 years.
Can we make it 36? Not a couple hours.
Okay, so here's another thing I'm going to pitch, and it's tied to several things that were said the whole way, but I was thinking of it anyway beforehand. I think there needs to be an IFS OTR. OTR being on the road.
Oh.
Come on out. And I've been saying this to you a lot. I know
you have. I know you have.
I really think you guys will like a visit to Columbus. I'll show you awesome places. Come check it out. And even where you were talking about, like, even the mixed 4 or 6s if you want, but like,
yeah,
my local beer bar where I go, the draft room is fantastic. And even if they don't, like, if they have 4 or 6 packs like in the cooler, and they're not broken up, if you're like, could you break one of those up? They'll like tag them all for individual prices and put them in that. Like, they're a fantastic place.
I'll tell you what, before Edwin decides to make his great move west,
relax.
He hates that. He hates that. He did. He really, I can tell he hates that. Can you tell how much he hates that? I made that joke.
He's squirming. Look at him squirm.
It's so hard. it really is hard to get under Ed's skin, but when you do it, like it digs in deep. Jesus,
I'm fairly
I almost feel
bulletproof.
bad.
But when I
I
tell you
almost feel
something
bad.
It's an achievement
confidence
unlocking.
before the show starts, you're not supposed to bring it up, you drunk motherfucker. But that's not happening. I would love to go west to Columbus, Ohio.
There you go, west to Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, I hate your guts.
It's for everybody who said, you know what, we could go look for gold, and you went, you know what, fuck it, this is too far. Let's stay here.
Fuck it. We'll just stop here. We're not even going to go to Kentucky where they have bourbon. We'll just stop here for some Skyline chili or whatever the fuck they have. Anyway.
That's Cincinnati.
Whatever. It's all.
At least Kentucky's a time zone over. Jesus.
Not all of it.
Well,
I don't think.
most of it.
By the way, do you get both time zones whenever you decide to watch TV?
No, Ohio's
No.
all
So, wait, Ed, answering that question?
Excuse me,
you
Ed.
live in
Excuse me.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Can you explain to me what it's like in Western Ohio to watch television?
So, like, the time zone is like a couple counties into Indiana.
Okay. Really?
And
I didn't know that.
but like you've seen my pictures that I send you like June, July, where I'm like, hey man, it's 9 o'clock and it's still daylight out. Like you should be here right now.
It's gotta be weird.
I mean, it took getting used to, like when we moved here for sure. Now, I mean, it's normal. But like when we moved here, it was tough with the kids because they didn't understand that it was lighter later. They were like, well, it's light. We should be awake. They're like, no, it's the same time. Go to bed.
Yeah.
Now you're doing it Ed style. Bed when the sun's out.
Do you get to watch? Do you get to watch Jeopardy twice or no?
No. No, we don't get like the next hourly airings.
So what's the advantage?
Later daylight. I mean, you can sit on my deck at 9 o'clock and you're like, beautiful.
And you get an up and coming city like Columbus, right?
Oh man, it's a good city. It's growing like crazy. I mean, it's like the fourth fastest growing city in the U.S. or
What's your
something
next
like
move? What's your next move?
I have no next move.
Columbus, Georgia.
Identified. Yeah. 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 I mean, I'm not saying we're opposed to moving, but I have none identified. I mean, we really like it here. The kids are in good school. Yeah, there's so much to do. Like the zoo is world class, and for members, you know, it's a good city.
It's nice.
So yeah, bring the show. We should do
We'll bring the show
in person on the deck.
We're going on the road for sure for Wolf whenever he opens. Do we have any dates on that?
We're looking at probably April. I'm hoping for a soft opening from him. I message him every once in a while just to make sure he doesn't forget me.
Yeah,
that's in Rossmoyne, right?
It's over by the Turnpike exit over there somewhere, Cumberland Parkway.
So Rossmoyne?
Is that
correct?
That's not Rossmoyne. Rossmoyne's St. John's.
You understand this guy like does roadways and exits for
not in Pennsylvania anymore. He's over there in some time zone.
It's not like the geography like shifted dramatically once
He's
left.
like, so what's it like over there in the Eastern time zone?
He's in the Eastern
I don't
time
know.
zone.
I am EST.
April. All right. We're very excited for the Wolf opening.
Yeah, no, we'll do that. I will actually message Derek this week and be like, hey, when you do your soft opening, can we do
we're gonna do a show there.
It's like right next to Peppermill, right?
That's He-Mauer.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. That's Rossmauer.
That makes a little more sense. No, keep going down 15 a little ways, and that's where Wolf will go.
Okay.
You should come back for the Wolf opening.
sometime in April, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
I'm
I
hoping.
mean,
I'm
there's
hoping I
new-
have
new
my.
construction, so nobody.
I'm
knows.
hoping I have my vaccine by then. I mean,
We might also
Yeah,
have the new 0-day opening coming up here too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, on the vaccine side, man, if that Johnson and Johnson gets the approval and just hits the shelves, I think that's really our ticket to normality, if you will, the fastest as possible.
it's. I had no confidence in the last administration's ability to deal with this. I've got more than no confidence in this administration's ability to deal with it, but not a lot. Like, and I get it. Like, it's still just February. You know, like they haven't even been there for 60 days yet. What we've had is a lot of talk on the vaccine. A lot of talk. A lot of talk. And this state, the way it's distributed the vaccine, is an abject failure, total failure. No one can call it anything but a failure. This governor has allowed the counties to just do whatever the fuck they want, and it's been a total disaster.
I do know.
Well, and I feel like
that are vaccinated though.
Yeah, well, and I feel like that's where like the Johnson and Johnson really can come and play because it doesn't require any special handling. So it's,
right.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't have probably handed it to like pharmacies or something,
Right.
but I feel like a non-special handling vaccine is right for.
Yes.
Here you go, pharmacies. Just do the flu shot to everyone, right?
The real fix here is whenever they combine it with the flu vaccine, which they can do. It's one shot flu, COVID, but that's a Gen 2 vaccine, and that may not hit until 2023. And really what you're going to end up with is folks are going to have to get to go get your flu COVID vaccine every year, every October.
Yep.
It'll be a cocktail, and you'll get both. And they'll be just like with flu, trying to like hit the right spike proteins on
the variant, right? Yeah. Yep.
And look, we're gonna get good at it. We got good at it with flu. We got good enough. Got good enough on it. Flu.
But we miss a year here and there. For the most part, we hit it. Every now and then, we hit the wrong one. It happens.
Right. It happens. We get good enough at it. We're going to get good enough at this. It's just the rollout at the beginning here is just a fucking mess. But that's the way that's the human condition. Like I say all the time, and if you've heard this on the show, I think it bears repeating. We've reached this level of modernity, not because of ourselves, but in spite of ourselves. We've drug ourselves through the muck of our incompetence, our pettiness, our selfishness, all the foibles of human condition. We have drug ourselves through the muck of that to reach this level of modernity. We're not here because of us. We're here because we've achieved over these things. We've achieved beyond what should be our potential. And it's grit. It's just pure grit. Like, actually, it's really hard to kill people. That's what it is. It's really hard. And
well, I mean, do you figure with like 300 years ago, life expectancy was like 38.
Yeah.
You made it to like a 40-year-old. Like, man, you outlived everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I lose people bets every day.
Beer number 4 for me. Dreams.
Aslan. Fleetwood Mac.
Aslan. Yeah. Fleetwood Mac. Aslan. This is Imperial Stout conditioned. It's conditioned on almond, coconut, coffee, and chocolate. 15% in a pounder. This is a
Holy
big
Moses, dude.
It's a big boy.
So if they use conditioned, that means it's actually sitting on it.
Correct.
Right? It's not.
Correct.
It's not an adjunct.
Yes.
So fantastic.
I agree.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, they have to use the actual ingredients.
So I was hopeful for like a coffee almond joy. Not quite. There's a certain acridness to it. It's good. Here's the problem. I was hoping for like Last Buffalo in the Park plus coffee, and I got not quite that. It's good, but
Last Buffalo in the Park.
yeah,
You got like bison fording the river,
no
something like that.
Last Buffalo in the Park is
Oh,
The-
the beer
no,
we had
I-
at Dave's house. That
the beer we had at Dave's house, and I ended up having it one other time from Funky Buddha, and
Yeah.
it is almond joy in a glass.
I remember that was really goddamn good.
That's one of that beer is like one of this list of like short list I have of like beers I'll never forget. That beer changed how I thought.
I
about
think even the
what's
can
possible.
looked kind of cool too.
That was a
We were
bottle.
like,
It was a bottle.
oh, is that okay? Then shut
It was
my
a
mouth.
bomber. Remember bombers? Remember those? Yeah, they
What
used to
are
exist.
those?
Pepperidge. Yeah, I know. No, now we can oversell you with 16-ounce cans for the same price as a bomber.
Until we run out of aluminum, and then
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Then they're gonna be the bottle people are like, then they're gonna be begging to come back,
So
and that's where we get them.
I want to come full circle because I have a hope that John Trogner is going to listen to this episode. A couple things. One,
Tag him.
No,
Tri-
not this long.
probably not. Triple
tag him
Nader.
and tell him to fast forward to this moment.
Listen
Might
at
do
4 times speed.
Triple Nader's coming out.
Triple Nate,
dude. Could you make
I will
my
take care
mouth
of you.
salivate more?
I'll take.
I
care of you.
mean,
Don't worry. I'll take care of you. 13%.
appreciate it.
Hey, thanks.
You
You
could
live
just
there,
make a
Jeff.
drive. You could just make a drive.
No,
Yeah,
I can't.
13%.
you can't drive.
I work well, not right now. No.
Are the tickets catching up? I saw that.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was funny that JP said as a ticket holder, and I was like, that's a hilarious way to
Yeah,
say that you got a DUI. I'm a ticket holder.
Ticket holder.
yeah.
I guess you're gonna lose your license. You're a ticket master.
Oh.
Oh.
But no, as a ticket holder, I thought that was really funny.
So I mean, other good point of making a trip here for on the road.
Yeah.
Invite JP on this one too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
I'm
would
making
be
this
fun.
case. It's going to happen.
I get TikTok updates from that kid 3 or 4 times a day. I'm not even lying. That guy's TikToking like a motherfucker.
Damn.
I don't TikTok, so I got nothing.
I don't either. I just
No.
joined it to like see stuff, and
It's for the
he's
kids.
Always TikToking. Yeah, there is a kid involved now. Yeah. Oh shit! Out of
Stepdad.
context things. No.
All right,
Dad.
stepdad. Listeners, last episode got that joke. By the way, worth every penny buying that beer. Every penny to make that joke just for me. If it makes me laugh, it's good enough. Triple Nader, 13%. Lay it down.
John Trogner, listen now. Again,
Lay it
just-
down.
yeah.
You should lay it down. This is everyone who is like freaking out about double nugget nectar. No. That's not the big release. Not at Tröegs. The big release this year is Triple Nader. Get a case, lay some down, go vertical. It's gonna be huge. Cork and cage. Very excited. 375 cork and
sexy.
cage. Yeah.
So it's going to follow a Splinter style release. Obviously, it's not
That does
sitting
sound
on
It's
wood,
not
but-
Splinter. So that
but
goes
it's
to,
going to follow that mentality,
Right. which goes to the reason why I'm hoping he's listening right now. Look, I want black, blue, and gold redux. I do.
Oh,
Like, what's it gonna take?
please,
What's it gonna
yes.
take? The brown was nice. I want the black, blue, and gold. I do.
I like
Like-
that the guy
Oh my
the guy who got a parking lot is now getting greedy. That's
Oh, yeah. Look, yeah.
Well,
So here's what else
when you
I
get
wanna-
asphalt, you get to make demands. Okay.
I want the black, blue, and gold. I want them back. I want them back. I want them
Wait.
back. I want 'em back.
Really, if you have to limit your demands, black and gold's good.
Well, I got a gold still sitting. I
So,
still got a
come
gold
on,
sitting
hey.
here.
Black and gold. Black
feel
and
like-
gold's good.
I feel like
Okay.
The blue
for
was
the
really
record.
good. I like the blue.
I agree, but I'm going with Pittsburgh here.
No.
Stick with the black and gold.
No.
Don't mess it up with blue.
So and you can put it in those 375s. That's fine. That's fine because we're not getting the champagne bottles back. I don't think. So
No, and I'm fine with that. I don't think
I'm
they
fine.
should be in champagne bottles anymore. I mean, that was a many years ago
really,
thing.
I like
Love
the
the
champagne
375s.
bottles. But let's be honest.
They're great for sharing. For yourself, it's
Okay,
you
you're
know.
walking into the store. They have a case of champagne or a case of 375s. Let's say the volume and cost are the same. Which one do you buy?
the volume to cost, so it's like half the price for the 375.
Like you get a case.
It's
the
equal
375,
cost.
equal cost and equal.
Well, if it's
volume.
equal cost, I'm buying the bigger. I mean, I get
but
that.
equal cost and equal volume, right?
Like so.
So I'm getting.
So you're
I
getting
get
a
it.
12 pack
12 or
of
a-
big bottles or 24 of small bottles.
correct.
Okay.
What are you buying?
Big bottle.
Buy the bigs. Come on.
I mean, I don't know. I go either way there. I don't.
I'm buying the big bottles. I am. You're only allowed
But I
one.
mean, if you're going
buy
to
the
give
big
me,
bottles.
well, like, if we're talking about a bigger beer and you're saying I get a full case, I can set a lot of that down for some time to get more bottles to set down for a longer
The
time.
big bottle is what you want. You know it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's what I want.
In your house, you have two folks that drink every beer. The big ones, good ones, right?
Not
I've got
necessarily.
one. Anyway, so John, bring back Splinter, Black Gold, and Blue. If you can only have two,
I will concur with it.
whatever. Let's bring them back. The true Splinters, bring them back. And hell, do the brown again.
OG Splinters, yes.
Was there
All
anything?
on board.
Was it all four? Is that all four? Blue, black, gold, and brown. Was there another one?
There's a red. It was Mad Elf, right?
Was that a Splinter?
Or
red?
was it Grand Cru?
There was a red. There was red. There was definitely a red, which really still follows all the Steelers colors if you go with the steel. By the way,
point. There is a red. It was a
Yeah.
Belgian strong dark ale. I
Don't
did not
doubt me.
get that one. I did not get that one.
I had two of those. Maybe.
I did not.
I think. Splinter Red. How many times did I drink it? I had one check-in, but
2008.
Yeah.
Do you still have it?
Wow,
no, I drank the
2008.
one I had.
It-
Yeah.
It
Before
looks.
filtering the final batch of 08 Mad Elf, they racked it into bourbon for 6 weeks. Bourbon
Wow.
barrel.
Oh my god.
Wow. That's crazy. I did not have that. 2008.
So, I mean, that would be a really good pairing to the Grand Cru. Like,
well, we
I mean,
had
Grand
that
Cru is
here.
fantastic.
We
I know.
we had it.
But
we
the-
had that.
But I meant like the Grand Cru is so good, but like
Yeah.
putting like a red beside the Grand Cru
Yeah.
would be great. Or even the Grand Cru in barrels would be awesome.
Mm.
I love those cherries in the Grand Cru. Oh
Grand-
my god, they're so
Grand
good.
Cru is the like the final boss of Mad Elf. It's so
Yes.
they're like they took it and they said, okay, this is God mode. Here you go. So
Oh
well
my
done.
god.
So well done.
Those cherries just
It's
they do unspeakable things to your tongue. They're just incredible.
I will say this. I don't think it does well laid down. And that's okay.
Doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to. I think people kind of think it should because it's corked and caged. I would say no. You drink it now. Drink it now. The flavors are so bright. They're so well done. They're so well well balanced here at this peak that you really have to do it right up front. And laying them down does not bring improvement. It changes, but it does not get better. So there you go. All right. I think we've gone the whole way.
I think we've gone the distance.
Well, I'm breaking out beer number 4. So
what do you got? What do you got?
All right. Noble Beast, Graf Vienna.
Where's that from?
They're from Cleveland. Noble Beast. So yeah, we're gonna finish the night with a nice lager. Ooh, that's a nice color. Look at that caramel color. Beautiful.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, nice head.
That's a big head. I like that.
It is.
Looks creamy.
It smells fantastic. It's just like straight caramel.
Man, you put your nose right in that head. I appreciate
I
that.
did.
I like that.
I did. And,
You did.
well, it happens. You got to be committed to the game. I'm also drinking out of my my Ohio craft beer in this together glass, which is a beautiful glass, by the way.
Nice glass.
So they released this at all the breweries in Ohio, and we're like, just come buy one. You know, proceeds
Cool.
benefited the craft beer.
2020?
Yeah.
I'm using one of my favorite glasses, my East End half empty, half full. You know,
Yes.
I love that one.
I love East End. Like, also coming back to another circle, even if East End costs $20, I'd buy it because I love Scott. I love
Scott,
East End.
yeah.
Like,
Scott's
I mean,
one of the,
fantastic
one
place,
of the good guys
fantastic
in
person.
Yeah.
I mean, the loophole beer, fantastic. Awesome
Brilliant.
idea.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
There's really only 2 guys in Pittsburgh craft beer that I truly love and like believe can do no wrong. Scott at East End, Steve at Roundabout. There you go. That's the list.
That's the list.
That's the list.
End of tweet.
End of tweet. Everyone else, you guys are trying to like find a way to be them. Which, hey, good luck.
And I mean, you can make great beer. You could be good brewers. You can do awesome things. But they are the combo: good beer, good people.
Yeah,
Like,
they're it.
Nail it.
They're it.
They do good
I
things.
have a roundabout glass that I got when I was there, and one of my favorite glassware pieces I've ever had in my life. And I got to be honest, Scott's such a quiet, shrinking violet. His wife, oh my God, she is
Steve.
What did I say?
Scott.
Oh, I think it's Scott. Sorry, but yeah, no, his wife is hilariously like way over the top talking to him, and she's like, "Oh, here, we're gonna do all this," and he's just like, "Oh, hey, yeah, good to see you." Like he just doesn't. He just wants to be brewing, and that's it. And I respect that. I love it. You know, a lot of brewers are introverts or whatever. It's just such a cool thing, and their place is so cool, and their branding is so cool. I love the place. Their beers are really good.
So, as a traffic engineer, I mean, by trade, Roundabout Brewing is just right there. And so, like, the first time I went there, I was like, all right, I'm going to buy a shirt. And, you know, I asked for like a large. And they were like, well, we're sold out in the regular shirt. And that was like the white logo with the red arrows for the Roundabout. They're like, we have this like one-off shirt we did. And it was like in the steel colors, you know, with the red, the yellow, the blue as the arrows in the Roundabout. And they were like, would you want to buy that? And I'm like, a rare shirt and a Roundabout and pairing with like Steelers and like, I'm in. And
I'm in.
Awesome shirt.
All right. Time to wrap this bad boy up.
At least the recording portion.
Yeah. Boys, anything else for the good of the order? Edwin?
I got nothing. I think we covered it all, and I'm really happy to get together with you guys. Even during COVID, just seeing your smiling faces is great virtually.
Jeff? thanks for joining the show. It's always great to have you. Anything else for the good of the order?
Good of the order. I'll just say, always will miss Central PA. Love you guys. Love everyone there. But if you want to come visit, I also love where I live, and lots of awesome things here.
And with that,
I'm mad that Kresge got there before me. That sucks. But,
that guy's everywhere. With that, I'm going to hit stop.
It was a complete choice just to do it. But yes, I do cut my own hair.
Well, congratulations, Prince Valiant, on your new haircut. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
So
Valiant.
You look like you're about to raise a sword and scream, "I have the power,"
Yeah.
like Prince Adam.
It is currently college length. So that's what you get.
I think it was a little darker back then. I don't know.
Nah, very few.
Nah, he's not good.
I'm not just for men in it like you, man.
Hey, I did that for Halloween once, and it was a great bit too. I did Time Hop Ed. I had a little son 5 years ago, and I had, man, just for men's a pain in the ass. Dude. Holy shit.
Yeah. So what I did was I switched the audio from the computer to my phone.
Okay.
So if I get a lag in internet, you won't catch it on the audio. I just might lose your video for
That's
a flip
cool.
or two. So which
Yeah.
would be good.
You don't sound quite as good, but you sound good.
I don't sound quite as good.
I got some big boys here. Like I gotta tell you, we gotta get started because I'm gonna get drunk. Ooh. You went to the store today.
Yep.
I've got
Who only has-
stolen IP beers, Super Mario Brothers here.
Nice.
I have 3 variants of this.
Where'd you get that?
Awesome.
Shit? Damn.
I went to Fourscore again. Bridget's fucking all about it. She's like, "Let's go this weekend." I'm like, "Oh shit!" They're doing some ice cream thing on Saturday. I'm like, "Whoa, maybe we should go back."
Awesome.
That
All
place kind of rules. We'll talk about it. But...
Do I start with stouts or do I start with New England, or do I start with the bullshit spring IPA by Tröegs? It's not very good.
Oh, you don't like it?
The joyous.
It's not that it's not very good. It's just I've got thoughts about it, so we're gonna start with that one. We're gonna just get the bad news out.
Yeah, I think we
You've
should.
got thoughts, everyone.
We should get your free beer cut off immediately when we start this. That's where I think we should be.
It doesn't suck. Here, all
He's
right,
off
here we
the
go.
Are you not going to save it for the sound effect? Or you're not going to...
Well, I got. I'm waiting for you guys to stop talking. We can do the sound effect. By the way, this is all staying in. This is all staying in. So
No.
we can.
I didn't know we started recording.
Oh
so
yeah,
thanks for
we've
the
been
heads
recording
up.
for a while.
Oh, it's always recording, and then it's just what we decide to keep in at that point. It's a little more loosey-goosey than it used to be with Dave, where we had to cut out, like,
Yeah.
so he wouldn't get fired or whatever.
Yeah,
bullshit.
Dave would be like, oh, I don't know if I could say the Pirates suck. One of my clients might be a pirate.
Oh, I might lose my 300-level free ticket. I don't know.
For the record, do we know that Dave has pirates for clients? 'Cause that's pretty cool.
He might have some like actual pirates, like
That's what I mean, yeah.
yeah, like Somalian pirates. These
he's
selling medical durables.
He keeps replying to
me.
those fucking emails. I have the Tesla now.
No, give me the autopilot. I'm the autopilot now.
I'm the autopilot. I'm the pilot now.
Well, by the way, this is a beer show. You wouldn't know it.
Nope.
No, not
We
anymore.
talk about things
Now
over
it's a-
beer, yeah.
It's a fucking variety show.
All right.
Touchdown!